أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا والذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. صلوات. In these majalis on the shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, I had been focusing on the 25 years during the reign of the three Khulafa, especially Amir al-Mu'mineen's hard work in establishing what is known as Sadaqat Ali ibn Abi Talib, the endowments of Ali, where the purpose was to take care of his own family, as well as, to take care of the poor and the needy in the community. We looked at different dimensions of that, and especially when we looked at the what I would call the living trust that Amir al-Mu'mineen had written after coming back from Siffin. Last night I ended with a conversation of Akhnaf bin Qais with Muawiyah, where he was remembering the Sufra of Ali and the way how Amir al-Mu'mineen was so strict about himself, not necessarily the whole family, but he maintained a very basic and simple lifestyle. And when Ahnaf bin Qais said that, Amir al-Mu'mineen, why be so, strict with yourself? That's where Amir al-Mu'mineen used the term that it is the duty of the righteous Imam to live at least on the basic level when it comes to the clothing and the food with the most weak section of the society, so they can relate to him in that way. In this short majlis that we have, I would like to just, share with you one more perspective of that concept in the words of Ali alayhi salam himself. Salawat man akbar. In Nahj Balagha, in the section on letters, there is the letter which has been named as, letter number 45. And this is a letter that Amir al-Mu'mineen wrote to Uthman bin Hunayf, who was his governor in Basra. And he came to know about the information that, Uthman bin Hunayf had been invited for a feast. Whether it was a walima or something, we are not sure about it, although the term there is walima. But it was a feast where he went and participated. When Amir al-Mu'mineen came to know about it, and this is his greatness, he was a leader who was also, constantly looking at the behavior of his subordinates. And when he got the report, he didn't like it. And so he wrote a letter to him, and I'm just presenting to you some aspects of it. And this is where you come to realize why Ali chose to live a simple life, even though he was a man of affluence at that time. In the beginning of the letter, he says, "O Ibn Hunayf," and I'm leaving the Arabic aside here, "I have come to know that a young man of Basra invited you to a feast, and you rushed to it. Foods of different colors were presented to you. Many dishes were served to you. I never thought that you would accept the feast of a people in which the poor were turned away and only rich were invited." That's the first point that Ali had a problem with that. And then later on he says, remember, لِكُلِّ مَأْمُومٍ إِمَامًا يُقْتَدَى بِهِ. Every follower has a leader whom he follows, and from the effulgence of whose knowledge he seeks light. realize that your Imam contented himself with 2 shabby garments from this dunya and 2 loaves of bread out of its food. I just have 2 pairs of very simple clothing, and in my food, 2 loaves of bread, nothing else. But then he says, of course, I don't expect you to be like me or other governors who are there. He says, certainly you cannot do what I do. But at least, ولكن أعينوني بورع واجتهاد وعفة وسداد. He says, certainly you cannot do what I do, but at least support me by practicing restraint, exertion, chastity, and righteousness. By Allah, I have never hoarded any gold out of your world, nor amassed loads of riches, nor even collected any clothing other than the 2 shabby sheets that I have. Now he was owner of those lands, the plantation that he had. But remember, when he makes it waqf, it's no more in his hand. Waqf is, even the owner now has no, right on it. And this is where he's saying, yes, I have all this, but I have kept myself away from it. And then he mentions, yes, we had fadak. But even there, some people had an eye on it, greedy eye. But we finally decided to just stay away from it. And then he says, what was I to do with fadak? Eventually we are going to die and we'll be put in the grave. Even if the diggers make it a very wide grave, once the body goes in, it will be filled with dust. And so he's admonishing this fellow that, remember that this dunya is not everlasting. He says, if I wished, I could have enjoyed the purest honey, the finest wheat, and the silk clothes. But far be it that my passions overcome me, and greed takes me to choosing good meals, while in Hijaz or in Yamama, there might be a people who have no hope of getting a piece of bread and no memory even of having eaten a full meal recently. This is Ali. Why he is maintaining that, very simple standard. He says there could be somebody, I'm in Kufa, but somebody maybe in Yamama, somebody in Hijaz, they don't have a meal. They don't even remember when did they have their full meal. And so I cannot allow myself go into this, purest of honey, finest of wheat, and the silk clothes. Shall I lie on the bed with full belly, while around me, not just in that vicinity, the whole Muslim world, while around me, when there may be hungry stomachs and empty bellies? Shall I be content with being called Amirul Mu'mineen, although I do not share with people the hardships of the world? Just to have the title. And what is the dunya these days? Or even after Ali? They thought this title comes with all, luxuries attached to it. Whereas Ali is looking at it differently. He says, I cannot be happy that, people call me Amirul Mu'mineen. I have to be there on the level that I can share with the hardship of the people. Or at least I should be an example for them in the distresses of their lives. And then he then just one more statement here before I conclude. He says, I swear by Allah, an oath, wherein I shall so train myself that it will feel joyful if it gets one loaf for eating, and be content with only salt to season the bread. And that's what we saw, in the example of Akhnaf bin Qais, when he said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, asked for the bag which contained the bread for him, and he actually had sealed it. And when Akhnaf asked that, oh, Imam, I didn't think of you as bakhil, miserly, why you were doing this? And this is where Imam said that I don't want Hassan and Hussein and other children, to put butter on it. Not because he didn't have, but the point was that he was thinking about all those who are his citizens. That maybe somebody is there, hungry, and I want to have that basic standard of living according to them. And we saw that even in when it comes to the issue of how he dealt with Ibn Muljim. One of the advice that he gave to his family, he says, especially this is also in part of the general will which is there between Zarbat and Shahadat and Nahy Balagha, where he says to them that if I live, remember it's between me and Ibn Muljim. I will decide what to do. وَإِن مُتُّ, but if I die, he is giving a very important message which Muslim world has forgotten. Even now, when they go around killing one another, not even respecting the dead. Whereas even the international laws now say that you will not, disgrace the body of your enemy that you have killed in the battlefield. There Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Hassan and Hussein and to Bani Hashim in general, he says, if I die, you have a right for qisas, for retaliation. But remember the laws of qisas is that he only struck me once. And you can't do anything more than that. وَلَا تُمَثِّلُ بِالرَّجُلِ, and do not mutilate his body, because I have heard your grandfather saying that do not mutilate the body of a mayyit, even if it is of a rabid dog. This is this seerah of Rasulullah coming through Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Ahlul Bayt. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen ने अपने जनाजे के बारे में जो नसीहत की थी वो यही थी वसीयत कि देखो जब हमारा जनाजा तुम तारीकी शब में उठाओगे फ्रंट की तरफ से कोई ना उठाए, इसलिए कि 2 मलाइका होंगे वहाँ पे, और वो जिस डायरेक्शन में जाएं तुम बकिया एरिया जो है ताबूत को उठाना और उसी तरह से जाना, यहाँ तक कि ये जनाजा एक जगह पहुँचा है जहाँ एक कब्र जो है खुदी हुई थी, ये जनाब नूह और आदम के कब्र के करीब थी। जो रिवायत हमारे यहाँ है वो यही है कि अमीरुल मोमिनीन को वहाँ दफन किया गया, सिर्फ घर वाले मौजूद थे और कुछ असहाब मौजूद थे। दफन के बाद सासा बिन सोहान जो इमाम के बहुत ही करीबी सहाबी थे, उन्होंने खड़े होने के बाद उस मिट्टी को वो अली की कब्र से उठाया और अपने सर पर रखते हैं, और इसके बाद एक मुख्तसर तकरीर की है जहाँ पुरसा दिया है अली के औलाद और घर वालों को, रिश्तेदारों को। बस हम एक जुमला कहना चाहेंगे कि इमाम ज़ैनुल आबिदीन भी कम सिन थे उस वक्त, यकीनन इस जनाजे में रहे होंगे। इमाम ज़ैनुल आबिदीन ने इस मंजर को उस वक्त याद किया होगा कि बाबा आपके बाबा जना के तदफीन के बाद किसी ने खड़े होकर आपको पुरसा दिया है, लेकिन करबला में यहाँ कोई पुरसा देने वाला नहीं है।
یہاں کوئی دفن کرنے والا نہیں ہے آپ کے لاش کو۔ یقیناً گھر کے اندر جب علی نے وصیت کی تھی کہ ابن ملجم کے جسم کو مسلح نہ کیا جائے، یہ خواتین بھی موجود تھی، زینب و ام کلثوم بھی وہاں موجود تھی۔ عجب نہیں کہ زینب نے اس وصیت کو اس وقت یاد کیا ہوگا کہ بابا آپ نے کوفہ میں کہا تھا کہ ابن ملجم جیسے قاتل الملعون کے بھی لاش کی بے حرمتی نہ کی جائے۔ کربلا میں آ کے دیکھیں، ہزاروں کی تعداد میں کلمہ پڑھنے والے ہیں، لیکن اچانک ایک اعلان ہوتا ہے جو اہل حرم نے سنا ہے کہ ابن زیاد کا حکم ہے کہ حسین کی لاش کو پامال کیا جائے، شہداء کی لاش کو۔ اس نے 10 والنٹری طور پہ 10 گھوڑے سوار کو طلب کیا، سب آ جاتے ہیں یہ ملعون۔ تمام شہداء کے لاشوں کو کسی نہ کسی رشتے کی بنیاد پر ہٹا دیا گیا۔ زینب دیکھتی ہے بس ایک لاشا پڑا ہے، گھوڑے ادھر سے ادھر گئے، اس طرح سے کہ امام کی روایت ہے کہ سینے کی ہڈیاں پشت کی ہڈیوں سے جا کے مل جاتی ہیں۔ زینب نے آسمان کی طرف دیکھ کے آواز کی، یا رسول اللہ، آسمان کے ملائکہ آپ پر صلوات پڑھتے ہیں، آ کے زمین کربلا پہ دیکھے کس طرح سے حسین کے لاش کو پامال کیا گیا۔ الا لعنۃ اللہ علی القوم الظالمین سیعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون۔ خداوند اس خلیبہ قبول فرما، ہمارے گناہوں کو بخش دے، ہماری توفیقات میں اضافہ فرما۔ خداوندہ شیعان علی جہاں بھی ہیں ان کو اپنے حفظ امان برکھ، تکفیری افواج کے صلاحیتوں کو نیست و نابود فرما، امام کے ظہور میں تعجل فرما۔ ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم۔ ماتم حسین۔